First, we've got to start making the sushi rice. So this is sushi rice, which is just basically short grain rice. So it's the shortest grain you can get. This stuff is grown in America, out in California. I like the flavor and texture a lot. So we're gonna do 1.5 cups, which will make about 6 to 7 rolls, because I do less rice in my rolls. That's about perfect. So then what you do for the rice, and this is something you do for sushi rice and not other rice, is you actually have to wash the rice. So the idea is to wash it until it's clear, and that's what helps make it sticky. You're basically washing the starches off of it. It usually takes about 3 times of washing. So the reason why you do this for sushi rice, like I said, is it takes the starches out and makes it stick together nicely. And the reason why you don't do it for other rice is because you lose vitamins and minerals when you do that. I usually do about 1 cup of rice to 1.25 cup of water. This will be 1.5 cups of water for each cup of rice. And what?
Why?
Why will it be more?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be more because we're using a pressure cooker as opposed to a rice cooker. I don't like using a pressure cooker over a rice cooker, but this is what we have. Okay, so now that. So with the rice cooker, this is an Instapot. People love their Instapots. I think it does a lot of things okay. So a big flavor of this sushi is vinegar. So I'm gonna make the dressing for the rice itself, put vinegar in the rice bowl, and then we'll put vinegar in for the tuna salad. We'll add salt for the sushi rice. A lot of people also add sugar to their sushi rice. If you look up any online recipe, it'll say sugar. I don't like it. I think the rice is sweet enough as it is. And also we tend to put different types of fruits in our sushi, which provides that sweetness. So I even think avocado can be pretty sweet. So really what you're getting, the dressing of the sushi rice is supposed to be tangy and salty. And that's because originally sushi was slightly fermented. Just the rice was. The sushi would be made in the morning and people would take it out with them when they go out fishing, and so during the day the rice would ferment slightly with the fish in it, and that's where you get that sweet, tangy, salty flavor that we're recreating with the rice dressing. We're gonna make a tuna salad. So I use canned tuna. This is the skipjack. Sorry, this is albacore wild tuna. It's pretty good for sushi. I like this skipjack yellow tuna a little bit better. It just sort of turns into a salad more. Especially if you get the kind that has oil in it. I just put the oil in there. Often you'll get kinds that have water in them. It's fine to put it in there too. Do a little bit of mayo in there. Next up is scallions. Tips of the scallions. Looking at our compost bowl. So we'll use kind of any type of onion. We bought these scallions at this market, but we also grow green onions in our garden, and we often use those. I like the green onion part because they make it look a little bit prettier, the green and the white. So we'll mix this up thoroughly and kind of let it sit out and get to room temperature while we prep everything else. If you like stuff a little bit more spicy, I recommend adding just a little squirt of sriracha. It'll give it a little bit of a kick, make it a little bit more like a spicy tuna. So sriracha is it's a pretty famous hot sauce that's a sweet and spicy type of sauce. I like it because it's not at all smoky. You don't want a smoky flavor in your tuna. You want it to be sort of green and fresh with just a little bit of a kick at the end if that's what you're going for. So part of sushi for me is the looks, eating with your eyes. So I really like doing purple carrots in it. They're pretty. They're probably slightly more nutritious than regular orange carrots, but who knows. Usually the purple comes from an ingredient or a chemical called anthocyanins. It's the same thing that makes blueberries purple, and also it's the same thing that makes blueberries good for you. Antioxidants, and anthocyanins are antioxidants. But really, the plant does not have antioxidants for your benefit, it has it for its own benefits. So often it's there as sunscreen or as signaling for, in the case of blueberries, birds to come and eat them and spread. So I'm cutting it kind of thinly, not super thin, because the whole point of the carrot, besides being pretty and purple, is to give a little bit of a crunch in the sushi roll. All right, now we're cutting up a cucumber, and we're gonna cut up a cucumber in the exact same way that we did the carrots. So think about cucumbers as you don't want their seeds in the sushi roll because their seeds are slimy as a texture thing. So I always cut the seeds out and then cut them thin. And so cucumbers can provide some crunch texture, although I don't generally find them to be all that crunchy, particularly during the winter when they're off season. But they do provide like a nice cooling contrast, so I like that about them. And these are Persian cucumbers, so the skins aren't as bitter as regular cucumbers, which is why I leave them on, because once again, they add a nice color to the sushi. I already had cut up some pineapple previously. We bought a pineapple at the store. And when I cut it up, I actually just kept out a piece that I cut into long slivers. So that's what this is. It's a little old, so I'm cutting up the pieces that look like they might have gotten overripe. So we won't have a ton of pineapple, but I do like the juiciness and kind of that pop. Plus, pineapples have a lot of vitamin C in them, so that's really nice. They do interact with some medication, so just be aware if you're taking something every day to check to see if there's any interactions with that. Next up is mangoes. We will peel it and then cut it into the same slices. And then this is more of what like a conventional sushi is. So we got avocado, cream cheese, and smoked salmon. And we're just doing the same thing with the avocado and the cream cheese that we did with everything else, which is cut it into strips that are easy to add to the sushi. So the goal is to just have everything prepped, so when I'm doing the sushi bar for my dad and my husband, they can pick what they want and I can throw it into a sushi roll for them, roll it up, and then they can eat it right there. And it's much easier. Everything is prepped and ready for that. The thing with the cream cheese is we'll end up cutting it into slices and then cutting it in half, and it's really important to use a lot of water during this process. So that's one of the reasons why I have a water bowl there. Smoked salmon, it's citrus cured. We get it at the Whole Foods, love it. Any sort of lighter smoked salmon or cured salmon is gonna be good. Same thing here, it's just cutting it up into strips that are easy to put into the sushi roll. Finish. It's just gonna do that until it stops, and then we'll take the rice out. That's the rice. You see how sticky it looks? The thing about making rice in a pressure cooker that I do not like is it'll get stuck to the bottom. Whew. Hot! Spicy. It'll get stuck to the bottom if you're not careful. Whereas with a rice cooker, you can just leave it and it won't stick to the bottom. It'll get this really beautiful crust. So that's why I said Instant Pot does a lot of things okay. This is one of the things that it does like okay. All right, so once you put the rice into the bowl with the dressing, you just want to stir it up so it gets thoroughly mixed. It also starts to get this sort of pretty sticky texture. It's a little wet, so I'm gonna let it cool and steam out for a little bit, but you can see how sticky that is. So once it cools a little bit and steams a little bit, I'm gonna cover it with my rag just to keep it from drying out too much. So this rice is a little wet for what I would like it to be. Still haven't quite gotten the rice making down in the Instant Pot yet. Thank you. Whew. Super hot. Usually people wait for the rice to cool, but Don, my husband, likes warm sushi rolls, and I cannot argue they are delicious. But as you can see, it does make the nori get a little bit wetter than I would prefer. So we're gonna start with a smoked salmon and cream cheese roll, very classic. So laying out the salmon. Making sure it gets to the edges so you don't have any left behind spaces. We'll do cream cheese next. I have a little bowl of water next to my workstation to make it easier to work with all of our ingredients. You can choose how much cream cheese you want to include. Don likes a lot of cream cheese, so usually we have a lot of cream cheese in there. We'll do cucumbers since we're being a little traditional. And we'll add carrots for some crunch. Burp-a-dur. Okay, so for the sushi roll, pick it up from the bottom, and you're pressing it tight as you roll. It shouldn't be as goopy as it is. It's just that it's pretty wet. Rice. And then to seal it, you just take a little bit of water on the end, roll it over, and I let them sit for a little bit before I cut them because it makes it easier to cut. All right, roll 2, here we go. Like I said, my sushi rolls tend to have less rice than is traditional. So I like the stuff on the inside more than I like the rice itself, which is why the rice is fairly thin on here. All right, we'll do a tuna. The first 3 are gonna be with cream cheese because people in this household like cream cheese, and Donna's looking very happy about the cream cheese part.
Look at that, she's on a roll.
Ha! Ha! Man, it just doesn't stop.
I'll be here all night.
You better be. Where else would you go? It's a pandemic, friends. Did you like the pineapple with the cream cheese, Don?
I did.
All right, so we're gonna do tuna, cream cheese, and pineapple. I know these sound like maybe not a typical thing, but all of the best sushi restaurants have these little atypical rolls. I'm gonna put carrot for color. I just really like the crunch and the color that the carrot adds. It's quite nice. So then, lifting up from the bottom, ideally you want to roll into more rice before you turn it. And remember, you really do want to make it a tight roll. Two. Now we're gonna cut. Having a very sharp knife is critical to successful cutting. And the other thing you'll notice, see, is that because the rice was a little bit wet, they're coming out a little bit.
Amorphous.
Amorphous, that's a great looking word.
ahead and grab one and tip it and eat it.